Hey, good morning. It is Monday, Magic Monday, April 29th. My name is Bev. This is a little thing we call the Bev D Show, and I welcome you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for messaging. Thank you for emailing. Thank you for downloading. You guys are amazing. I like to record live because and try and be as on time as possible because whether people are listening live or not, this is something that has really progressively put me in a really good situation in my life. Getting up early, exercising, not just, and I don't mean to diminish this, but not just because I have a career and very blessed to be a recruiter and trainer, but it gives me this opportunity to be on time for other stuff. Like there's this sense of urgency, and I put the little subtitle in there. Repair, reflect, and rush. Got a couple of things I want to talk about. I personally, this is what has happened to me is the sense of urgency had left my life. And it's been going on a year now that I've had a real spark in my life and definition and reason. And really, I just celebrated a year. I've been at the company 2 years. I just celebrated a year at this position of recruiter trainer. And before that, I was in the field selling, advertising. Very, very cool, fun gig and absolutely loved it. It gave me an opportunity to not only learn about all these different communities in the state of Ohio and really get to learn a lot about the different demographics that are all over. Really, really interesting job. If you take your position and take your job a step further rather than, I wasn't just selling ads. Who is going to buy these ads? What's the community like? What type of ads will sell here? So I tried to get to know the demographics of each place that I was going to. And while I have lived in Ohio almost all of my life, a little hiccup, we were in Chicago for about 5 years, many years ago. But other than that, this is where, Akron born and raised. And here we are in our surroundings. And we don't know a lot about them. We don't know about the different little communities or the semi-major metropolises that exist in this beautiful state of Ohio. It is pretty, quite the amazing place. So I love Ohio. But it gave me a sense of learning about, just beyond my little bubble. And then the position I'm in now, it continues to do that because I recruit. I'm in the Cleveland area, but I recruit for many different states and across the nation, which is very, very exciting because then when all of these people come in for training, we are training people from all across the nation. So we have a really good time learning about the different little accents that we have, words that we use. Do you say soda? Do you say pop? Do you call it up by name and say Coke? Things like that. And it's really, really fun to learn all those things. So I feel very blessed. Now, having said that, my sense of urgency has called on me to do this other thing that I'm very passionate about, completely love, have pretended either I was a teacher or on the radio or on television all of my life. And now I get to pretend. So whether anybody listens or not, here I am sitting here pretending at least as if I have one listener. And by the way, I do. My cousin sent me a note the other day, and that was really, really something. I never see them. I never get to see my family that lives just 15, 20 minutes away. And for whatever reason, we just don't. We do not see them as often as we could or should, and it's really unfortunate because my daughters, I have three daughters in their 20s, they do not even know that side of the family. I have brothers and sisters, and they all have kids, but all of these gazillion cousins that I have and everything, for some reason, we just don't get together. But the magic Magic Monday. The magic of Facebook has connected us, and we share pictures and our lives, and so it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy to think that one of those cousins is listening and even sent me a note. So thank you, Janice. I love you. That was really sweet of you. Okay, so repair, reflect, and rush. First of all, my dog loves to jump up on me, and he doesn't. I mean, when we're playing, he's a really good dog. His name is Tanner, and he's really good. But sometimes he gets carried away, and when we're playing fetch, he'll come running up and kind of accidentally scratch me. And I've never really, you're little, you get all scraped up and scratched up, and you just go back out and brush yourself out and off, and go back out in the ring and go get hurt or stung by a bee or something again. But when he scratched my arm, one time I was fascinated because I really did use Neosporin, and I put it on this pretty hefty scratch, and I made sure it was all cleaned out and everything. I was a little concerned. I didn't want it to scar. So I was keeping a real close eye on it, and I just every day I nurtured it and stuff like that. I was fascinated at the way, I know, just bear with me, at the way our skin just does its job and heals. And when I fractured my ankle early in February, and when I woke up the next day, because we weren't sure if it was a sprain or a break or whatever happened, I couldn't move. I couldn't move my leg. And it was very heavy, and not just out of pain, it was the weight. So when I talked to the doctor about it, he said that is all the blood rushing. Everybody's going to the scene of the crime, and they are trying to heal whatever and rescue well, in my case, it was this fracture. So when you get scratched, and I know everybody knows this, I know I'm a little bit slow, late to the party, but when you get scratched, that's why there's blood, because everybody's rushing to make sure that they flush out all of maybe the bacteria that got in there and all that good stuff. Having said that, then following that piece of it, I would just double check my arm, because I'm looking at it now. I don't want scarred arms. I mean, it was a bad scratch. But how skin just kind of comes together and just magically seals and fixes itself. And maybe there is a little pink scar, or maybe there is a white scar that happens, but it comes together in its best way that it possibly can and seals up and gets everybody tucked back in. And I thought about us when we're broken. Everybody talks about a broken heart, their soul is broken, that kind of thing. And I thought about, what does it take to really repair that? While we physically, there's all kinds of images of broken hearts and broken souls, we can't see them. But in a way we can. We look in the mirror. We can see it in our own eyes, and we know that something's going on in there that needs help. So how do we do that? What is the Neosporin, or the I remember when I was little and I would get a mosquito bite, we always put witch hazel on my arm. How do we heal that broken heart, or repair that soul that is desperately maybe missing someone who has passed away, or I've lost my mom, my dad, 2 brothers, and a sister-in-law, and those are the closest to me. And that really, I mean, that, when you look at a family and you think about, like I was saying, all those cousins and everything, and the size of our family, the ones really closest to the vest are obviously the ones that hurt the most. So in the month of April, I celebrate. Is that called celebrate when they passed away? We revisit the passing of my mother and my brother Tom. Both died in April, and years ago. But that hurt it never really goes away. And if you hear the right song, or smell the right food, or pass by something that there's a memory there, that really never goes away. But if we are wise and have the love of one another, and can actually find a way to repair that. Well, how do we repair that? We repair that, in my opinion, with memories, and the kind of memories that are healthy memories, the good parts, the ones that bring us laughter. I remember being, when I was at my mom's, what do they call it, when calling hours. And there were times when, people were talking to me and we were laughing. And you can't figure out where that comes from. And is it okay to laugh? And when is it okay to laugh? And that sort of pain that you just realize as you're looking in the other person's eyes, that there it is. There's that dose of Neosporin. There is that dose of whatever, repair. That's the Band-Aid that starts to help pull things together. If you're lonely, if you're broken, if you are hurting inside and you can't get up off of the couch, or you're putting on a show for 8 hours while you go to work and you're in sales or customer service, or you're a manager or a CEO, but as soon as you get home, you're very sad. And if you can find a way to pick up that phone or watch something funny. I used to obsess on the outtakes of The Office. The past couple of years, I would look at those. I would look at repeats, because YouTube can do that. YouTube is a really cool little little remedy, because if you're by yourself, you start saying things to yourself like, oh, they're too busy, they don't really want to hear from me. Or you get in your personal life, you get something called call reluctance, just like you would in sales, where you're afraid to pick up the phone again because somebody's going to tell you no, they don't want your services or product. But part of that repair has to have reflection. And what happens to us is we get stuck in those memories of woulda, coulda, shoulda, all of the OUD words, if you will. They cloud up our mind, they cloud up our brain, and they begin to make us feel pretty darn bad about things that we could have, would have, or should have done. And that is poison. That's absolute poison. You want to stay as far away from those as possible, because in my experience and what got me through and what continues to get me through, because Dad passed away, I was 21. I'll never forget that morning. I still feel like there were things, he died suddenly of a heart attack. There are still things that I feel like I should have done differently. And what can I do with that? What can I do with that? I can't do anything now. And then I think, well, how would he want me to feel? How would he want me to operate? Would he really want me staying in 1981 feeling bad about something that I could have or should have or would have done if it had come to me? So you can reflect. That's my memory. That's my arsenal. I keep it there. I keep it close. I'll never forget it. But I can't stay there. Now, I had an uncle who, and this is where Rush comes in. I had an uncle that called my dad's nickname. It was Rush. Hey, Rush. Hey, Rush. Back and forth they called each other. And the nickname, obviously is because people rushed around, or they always were in a hurry, or he called that. I just remember the name Rush. And I've invited that word back into my vocabulary and my life, because I always thought it was a cute nickname. And in addition to that, I need to do more of that. There's a thing that's rolling around out there that it's one of the things that we take the most advantage of in our lives, and that is time. And when I say that to you, we do not have time. Do I want you to go psycho throughout the day and rush around? Maybe you need a dose of that. When you're in the sales game like we are, there's always a deadline, a timeline. If you're in advertising design, there's a deadline, a timeline. But that is for everyone. Everybody has a deadline. And if you're a believer, you believe that you have in my personal opinion, this is how I